brought to you in part by Alpine Toyota. This is my wife's 1996 Toyota 4Runner we call Lily, and the last time it made an appearance on this channel was almost 2 years ago, when I found a parts 4Runner and separated it from the frame. And the 96 4Runner and donor frame have been sitting around ever since. But that changes today. It's been over 2 years since I last made a video on the 3rd gen 4Runner build, and I mean, sure doesn't look like I've done a lot. So for those of you who are new or just don't know, this frame right here that has been in the background of pretty much all my videos here for the past 2 years is actually meant to go underneath this 4Runner. I am doing a frame-off restoration of this thing. I want it to be absolutely perfect, just a killer daily driver for my wife. And I'm kind of sick of this thing just sitting here not being used and looking at this frame all the time, so it is finally time to make some moves. And today, we're going to start with removing the engine and transmission from this 4Runner. But I don't think I'm going to be using this engine. As I said, it's got over 500,000 kilometers. It leaks a whole bunch of oil. And yeah, it's just overall just an old, tired motor. I think I'm just going to find another 3.4 to put in it. I just want a lower kilometer one, something that's just going to pop in, and doesn't require any screwing around, something that I'm not going to be chasing gremlins with. With that being said, let's get to work. So in theory, everything is disconnected and it's ready to come out. I did mess around with the bell housing bolts a bit, and then I realized, why? I want the tranny out too, so I might as well try to pull it all at once. Well, that happened. The engine and trans fell to the floor from being up above the rad support. I had to lift this thing so high to get it out with the tranny that the end of the boom was actually wedged up in my rafters. As I was lifting it, it was trying to turn sideways, or it was trying to fall over on itself, but because it was stuck up in the rafters, that it physically was blocked from trying to fall over. Until I tried to lower it, and I realized, oh, it's not moving, and that it's wedged in the rafters. And as soon as I freed it up, she went for a tumble. I wasn't planning on using this engine anyways, but it doesn't look like it got hurt in the fall. But, I mean, I do plan on using this R150. I want to keep it a manual. This engine has over 500,000 kilometers and has had questionable maintenance, I'm sure, most of its life. The only thing I've done to it personally is timing belt and water pump. But hey, let's remove the tranny from the engine, lift the engine back up, and get a closer look. Now I should just weasel out of there. Yep. Ooh. Look at the crank pulley. It must have come down on that. But it must have come down on, like, the face of this motor. Looking at... Oh! There's a crack there, too. Nice. Well, hopefully that guy's alright. Alright, so since this body has to come off this frame, I'm going to make it a little bit easier on myself this time around. I'm going to take all of the doors off. I'm gonna gut the interior. I'm gonna make this thing absolutely as light as possible, because last time it was a huge pain in the butt. I think I'll start with that. I think I'm gonna remove the rear bumper, see where I wanna go from there. Next up is the seats. Now, I'm not actually going to use these seats. I'm going to use the seats that came from the 4Runner that is donating its frame to this project. And here's a neat observation. This is a Toyota with 500,000 kilometers. And if we check out my tow rig, this is a Chevy with half the kilometers. And she's a lot worse. I don't know, I just thought that was interesting. Let's pull these seats out. And other than a complete mess, look what else I found. Look at this hole. That's where one of the seat screws were supposed to be, but it looks like that's blown out, completely rotten. So now, I'm gonna be real interested to see what the floor looks like after I get this gutted and pull the carpet out. Every other bolt was just fine. They look good. But this one, it's got me questioning things. So before I got too carried away, I asked my wife to come outside and help me clean this thing out. And now it's a pretty decent working area. We were literally using this thing as a storage shed for the past few years, so it accumulated a bunch of this random junk and garbage. So now that that's all cleaned out, got a nice clean working space, and time to dig in even further. I'm going to start with the center console, get rid of the seats that I'm currently sitting on, and eventually move up into the dash and maybe take the doors off. Alright, everything is gutted that needs to be gutted for the carpet to come out. Moment of truth. Let's see how bad the floors are underneath that 500,000 kilometer carpet. Also, when my wife came out to help me clean out the interior, she stumbled upon her old paint pens and wrote subscribe to Dirt.Garage right there to remind you guys to smash that thumbs up button, hit subscribe. Let's pull the carpet. You know, I'm learning that there is things I actually really like about working on 3rd gen 4Runners, like even over my pickup. Getting the dash out was really easy. It took less than 10 minutes to get the whole dash panel out from being complete, which is nuts. Yeah, it's cool. And now that the carpet's out, like, the floor is surprisingly really good. This hole here, which I was mentioning earlier where the seat bolt's in, that rust seems to be isolated to this spot and this spot only. I don't know what happened, but like, it's super solid everywhere. And if you look, well, that's security system garbage wiring that was already in here. Where my pickup was rusted in the floor here, where there's holes, looks really good in here. Like, overall, I'm super stoked with the condition of this floor. Now let's take apart the back. yeah, there's like no issues really with the floor whatsoever, except for that seat bolt. So that's gonna make my life appear to be a lot easier. It's a lot less. I was expecting to have to repair the floor in a few spots, but so far, don't see much. I think today I'm gonna start by taking apart the front end. I'm gonna remove the front fenders, the headlights, pretty much everything I can to make it still a bit lighter for when I pull the body off. Alright, well, taking the fenders off has shown me these cab corners do need a tiny bit of repair. They are rotten. As well as, I already knew this, but the rockers on this thing need to be replaced. They're gone. So that leads me to the next question. How do these rear wheel arches look with those fender flares taken off? You know what? Not that terrible. There's still solid metal in here. A little bit of repair down here is needed. Better than I was expecting. Well, check out who just got home. You excited to see some work getting done on your baby finally?
Finally, yeah.
I know. What is that supposed to mean?
Yeah, I'm excited.
I know, it's been sitting for many a years. But it's gonna be fun.
I'm excited.
You're excited?
I'm excited. It's
Awesome.
looking good.
It is looking good. I'm also excited. Well, that about wraps up this week's episode of Dirt Garage, and thanks for watching. As you can see, a lot got done to this thing, but there is still so much more to do. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for future videos on the 3rd Gen 4Runner build. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Yeah, let's go. I'ma make a couple stacks, do exactly what I want to. Mix a couple tracks, get a lady that I'm drawn to. Turn up to the max, get it faded till I'm gone, dude. I do what I want, couldn't stop me if you wanted to. I just work hard, yeah, harder than the rest. Some people say I'm lucky, others saying that I'm